There will be no deal with Iran. Only and only Iran's unconditional surrender will be accepted. When Donald Trump was writing this post on March 6th, perhaps even he had no idea that within just a few weeks, the entire game would turn upside down for America. The same US president who, within a week of the war starting, was demanding unconditional surrender from Iran, today that very Donald Trump wants to sign any decent peace deal with Iran at any cost. The same Donald Trump who used to mock other world leaders, saying they didn't know how to make deals. Today, he himself is unable to make a deal with Iran. The man who used to tell others, "You have no cards," now appears to be the one without any cards himself. We will discuss all of this in detail. In the special episode, there was one major condition for Iran to come to the negotiation table, and that was to stop the ongoing bombing by Israel on Lebanon. At first, Trump had agreed to this condition, but it seems that his buddy Netanyahu scolded him, and then he refused to accept the condition. And now, after several days of back and forth, news is coming from the White House that the ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon has been extended for the next 3 weeks. In this meeting held at the White House in the presence of top US officials, envoys from both Israel and Lebanon were present. However, not a single person from the Iran-backed Hezbollah group was present at this meeting. Now the question is, since Israel's war is against Hezbollah, can a ceasefire happen without Hezbollah's participation or not? The United States managed to get Israel to agree to a ceasefire with Lebanon, sometimes by scolding, sometimes by coaxing, sometimes by rebuking, in the hope that Iran would somehow come to the negotiating table, but Iran is still not fully convinced, nor should it be, because that's just how America operates. Israel is going to have to defend itself if they're attacked, and they will. I would never say that they can't, but they're going to do it carefully, and they've got strategies, I suppose. This is the biggest loophole of the ceasefire. In other words, if you call it a surgical strike, to put it in Hindi, Israel gets away with it. Lebanon can't carry out open bombings, but it can certainly carry out bombings secretly. And that's exactly what's happening. Israel hasn't stopped. So far, Lebanon isn't the only one caught between the US, Iran, and the peace deal. There has also been a lot of tension between Iran and the US regarding state arms control. For the past few days, Iran has blocked this global oil and gas chokepoint since the very first day of the war. Because of this, prices of everything from oil and gas to fertilizers, plastic products, and even helium have started rising rapidly all over the world. Americans are also facing a lot of difficulties because of this situation. Indians too are experiencing a lot of problems. Now, reports are estimating that as soon as the assembly elections in the country are over, the prices of petrol and diesel could rise sharply. Now, there is a lot of pressure from around the world on Trump to somehow get this trade route reopened. Trump can't figure out what exactly should be done. At one point, Trump seemed willing to end the war without reopening this strait. Sometimes he would say that everyone together will open Hormuz, and then he himself would say, no, I am the one who has kept it closed. Hormuz would have been opened long ago. I was the one who refused. He said, we will agree to open the strait, and my people, everyone is happy, everybody's happy except me. If I open the strait, they make $500 million a day, the cash to control. This was Trump's last card as well. If Iran is blockading Hormuz, then we will double blockade it. That's why, right in the middle of the ceasefire, an American naval blockade was announced at the Strait of Hormuz. What does this blockade mean, and how exactly did Trump want it to work? But the basic idea was to stop Iran from making money through this strait. The ships that Iran was allowing passage for a fee, the US would try to stop all of those ships. In the first 12 days, we did see some impact of the blockade. But soon, independent trackers exposed Trump's maneuver. The cargo tracking company clearly showed that since the blockade began, there was minimal impact. 4 Iran-linked tankers bypassed the US blockade and got through. 19 tankers went out, and 15 tankers entered the Persian Gulf through the same route. Out of these, 6 tankers were carrying Iranian crude oil, and the US was unable to stop them. Now, according to reports, these tankers are not breaching the blockade with any military escort or external support. Instead, under the cover of darkness, they are turning off their transponders and slipping past the US right under their noses through the Strait of Hormuz. So on one hand, Trump is claiming total control, and on the other, Iranian oil is reaching the open market right under his nose. An investigation by the Financial Times also reveals that Iranian ships, by hugging the coastline, can even reach Pakistan and India without touching international waters where the US could take action. There's a saying in English, a sword is only as good as the one who wields it. A sword can only be as good as the person who wields it. Today, the situation of the American Navy seems to be quite similar. Even though, on paper, America's Navy is the most powerful Navy in the world, as long as it is being led by drunkards and addicts like Pete, Hexit, and Donald Trump, not much can be expected from it. Now, in a new controversy this week, the US Secretary of the Navy, John Phelan, has been removed from his position. This billionaire investor who was considered close to Trump has now been fired by Trump himself. Why? Because it is being said that he told Trump the truth. According to the reports that have come out so far, it appears that Trump was insisting that his Navy secretary destroy these Trump-class battleships. But recently, Phelan told him that America's shipbuilding industry cannot deliver such a battleship at least until 2028. That was enough to make him angry and have him dismissed. The American media wants us to hear this version of the story and believe it. But common sense says something else entirely. Just think about it yourself. The world's largest and most powerful navy on one side, and Iran, which has been under sanctions for years, yet has still managed to fully maintain maintain the blockade at Hormuz. For so many weeks, the US hasn't been able to free this globally critical Hormuz chokepoint, and amid all these failures, even the Navy Secretary gets fired. Do you really think there will be some new battleship target for this, or that failure in the war is the real reason? Let me remind you that Defense Secretary P. Huksitnebi has in the past few months either fired or sidelined more than 24 such generals and admirals. This includes Army Chief of Staff General Randy, and at the same time, there is also an ongoing conflict between Secretary of the Army Daniel Discroll and Huksitnebi. So there is quite a bit of friction. The growing frustration in American politics and American defense, especially in the Pentagon, has now become completely clear to the world. America has already spent around $20 to $35 billion on this war, and still, nothing has come out in its favor. So many missiles, munitions, and aircraft have been destroyed, but if you ask Trump about all this and ask him how much more time it will take, in Iran, they get absolutely furious. How many years as an ESM? Oh, Trump uncle, the reporter is asking, because you yourself have said dozens of times that this is a very short action, a very short confrontation, but now it's been almost 2 months. So it's only fair to ask this much. Those who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones at others. It's a good lesson, but who will explain all this to Uncle Trump in America? In the Trump cabinet, the FBI, the courts, the Department of War, everywhere we can clearly see intense disagreements, and instead of resolving them, Trump has set out to look for traitors in Iran's house. On Truth Social, Trump keeps making all sorts of absurd statements. Recently, he claimed that even Iranian officials themselves don't know who their leader is or who is running the country. What Trump wants to say is that there is an internal conflict going on in Iran between moderates and hardliners. And even in the American mainstream media, there are rumors circulating that Khamenei is not able to function effectively. He is seriously injured, needs plastic surgery, and is sending notes to others as proof that he is still alive. But according to US reports, Iran is being run by the IRGC and hardliners. Now, how true this is really depends on your own beliefs. But we can't blindly trust what the mainstream American media says. But along with Trump's social media posts, news also comes in that Mohammad Ghalibaf, the Speaker of Iran's parliament, has resigned from Iran's negotiating team. With this news coming from Israeli media, Trump is saying, see, the internal rift is real. I'm telling you the truth. But before these reports could have any significant impact on social media, Iran's president and the Speaker of Parliament both simultaneously refuted and dismissed Trump's claims on social media. In their identical posts, they wrote that there is no divide between moderates and hardliners in the country. The country is united, standing together as one. According to Iran, Trump is putting on this whole act so that the blame for not being able to make a deal can be pinned on Iran, so that Trump can say, look, the whole world can see. I tried my best, but Iran itself is divided. They couldn't make any decision. That's why I'm resuming the bombing. For the past month, we've been seeing several reports in the international media about how divisions are growing within Iran's leadership. According to reports, after the death of Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Khamenei, a central authority has turned into a vacuum. The IRGC is doing whatever it wants. Iran's legislature is acting on its own as well. Meanwhile, the cabinet and the president want to do something entirely different. On top of all this, the new supreme leader who has been appointed has also remained out of the public eye so far. Perhaps he is injured. It is possible that after the deaths of 40 top leaders, there is a sense of vacuum in Iran's central command. But the coordinated response to Trump's statements, the rebuttal that was seen, proves that there is coordination between the branches of government in Iran. There is coordination, a mechanism is still functioning. Iranian analysts say that what we are actually seeing is an Israeli information campaign. Israel's objective is to somehow convince Trump to carry out another decapitation strike. This time, analysts are saying that Israel is trying to portray the so-called deal breakers sitting inside Iran as villains in Trump's eyes, because of whom the deal is not happening, so that Trump gives the green light for strikes to remove them from the equation. Now, the question is whether Trump will actually do this. Will Trump fall for Israel's nonsense again? Will Israel be able to fool him once more? Will Israel be able to trigger its plans through America or not? But on the other hand, Israel keeps saying again and again, brother, we are ready for war, we are standing by, we are just waiting for America. Then we'll pull the trigger right away. If Israel gets its way, the war might have already started again. In such a situation, Trump doesn't have many options left. According to US media reports, the options that the Trump administration is currently exploring, the first among them is to carry out targeted strikes around the Hormuz area. The plan is simple: directly target Iran's speedboats, mile-long vessels, and coastal defense systems. For this, Trump has openly given the green light to his policy. But there is one major problem with this plan. Iran's coastal defenses, their missile batteries, are still largely intact. That means until US strikes have 100% effectively eliminated them, completely destroyed them, no ship can enter this area without being at risk, because fear alone is enough. No one will provide insurance to keep such ships away. The other option for such ships is infrastructure strikes. Target Iran's power grids, oil facilities, and energy infrastructure. This is a plan being made to destroy civilian infrastructure, but this will make the chances of a deal even lower. The war will escalate even further. Iran has made it clear that if even a single power plant in Iran is touched, all the countries in the Gulf will be plunged into darkness. Iran has already made its strategy clear that if there is an attack on their civilian infrastructure, then the largest largest crude oil processing plants in UAE and Saudi Arabia will be destroyed. So you can imagine that after that, the price of oil could reach not just $100, but $150 or even $200 per barrel. It could even lead to a global recession. So the third option is targeted killing. According to a CNN report, the US military is currently looking to once again target the IRGC's commander-in-chief and some Iranian leaders. These are the people whom America considers deal breakers. Now, whether Israel has influenced them or not, we don't know. But this in itself would also be quite a deal breaker, because you've already killed 40 people. If you carry out targeted killings after this, Iran will not negotiate with you. Oil prices will keep rising. Global recession. After that, you can believe whatever you want. Even after killing so many people, regime change couldn't be achieved. So now what else can you change? What's left to do? The fourth option is wait and negotiate. For now, that's what America is relying on. America is holding on with this option. Trump is saying that he's in no hurry to make a deal now. But the reality is that crude oil has now gone above $100 per barrel. Pressure is mounting on American consumers and inflation is rising. Trump had promised that he would reduce inflation. On top of that, the midterm elections are approaching. If the Republicans lose the midterm elections, then Trump will become a lame duck president and won't be able to do anything. So if you look at it, Trump doesn't really have any significant options left now. A ground invasion is possible, but that in itself brings a lot of technicalities and a great deal of bloodshed. Now, sooner or later, Trump will have to sign a deal with Iran. And the longer this process takes, the more Iran's leverage will increase in the final deal. Their influence will keep growing because Iran knows that it can endure, it can withstand even more blows. But Trump doesn't have that much time. He will have to do something. Otherwise, Trump's political career could come to an end. A big question mark has already been raised on America's global leadership. If the Republicans lose the election to be held in November, then Trump's career will be almost over. Iran knows that for Trump, making a deal has now become essential for his political survival. That's why their demands are so unyielding. They are saying, brother, look, implement a ceasefire. Now that has happened. They are saying, but brother, you will have to lift the entire blockade from the Houthis as well. It's possible that Trump might even agree to this. Then comes the issue of nuclear enrichment, on which a red line has already been drawn. There will be no surrender. They will not give you weapons-grade uranium. They will not give you enriched uranium. Now, in the coming days, we will have to see what Trump does because his ego won't let him quietly back down. So one thing he might definitely do is carry out a major attack, drop big bombs, and then withdraw from there. By saying, look, we have won the war, he has declared himself the victor. But the question is, in desperation, could Trump use nuclear weapons? Many thanks for watching. More episodes are coming.